Greetings, Farmington Public Schools community. This is Dr. Bobby Hayes Goodrum, your interim superintendent with our district spotlight. Today, I am pleased to bring to you our secondary middle school administrators to talk about what the return to learn has been like for them. And so now I'm going to give each of our panelists today an opportunity to introduce themselves. Let's start with Ms. Robinson.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Allison Robinson. I'm the principal at Power Middle School. I have been with the district. This is my 21st year with the district. I taught English language arts at Harrison High School for 12 years. I was then the assistant principal there for 3 years, and this is my 6th year as the principal at Power. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Now let's go to Mr. Sanders, please.
Hello, I'm Ken Sanders. I'm the principal at East Middle School. I have been the principal here since 2003. I joined Farmington in 1999. Before then, as the assistant principal, also here at East. Before then, I was a teacher in Waterford for too many years to count. I've been in education for 33 years. So I love middle school, all of it in middle school, and just thrilled with being back and being able to see kids. So.
Next, we'll hear from Ms. Eris Stewart.
Hi, I am Eris Stewart. I am the acting principal at Farmington STEAM Academy, filling in for Dr. Sanders. I've been in the district for 20 years as a social worker, working with multi-tier systems of supports and the social emotional learning coordinator. I'm so excited to be at Farmington STEAM Academy right now, back with kids.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Alan Archer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Goodrum. Hello, everybody. My name is Alan Archer. I'm the principal at Warner Middle School. This is my 32nd year as an educator, not quite as long as Mr. Sanders. I'm 1 year behind him. I have been in Farmington for 18 years. I came as the assistant principal at Dunkel Middle School and was the principal at Dunkel. And now I have been at Warner. This is my 6th year as a principal at Warner Middle School.
Thank you all for being here today. So let's get right into it. So as you reflect on your return to face-to-face and a hybrid model for your students, what have been some of the bright spots, some of the challenges, and what have been the biggest surprises?
I guess I would say that the high spots are always the people, right? It's the kids. Mm-hmm. And it's our staff, our incredible, flexible, hardworking staff. And I would use those same words to describe our students too, right? This has been, as we know, an unprecedented year of challenges. And I've been not surprised, but pleased to see that everybody has risen to the challenge, and we've learned and we've grown together and managed to stay a community. So to me, that's been one of the most rewarding things.
Yeah, you know what? And I think for me, I agree with Allison. I think seeing that students get off the bus, seeing the staff come in the building has been the most rewarding thing. I think personally as a principal, I talked about this earlier. I felt more like a manager when the kids weren't here. And then with the staff came in, the kids come in, I felt like a principal again, because, that's what all of us love to do. And being a manager is what we not signed up for, but being a principal, it was a great transitioning and having the kids back and feeling like being a principal again. So, yeah.
I absolutely agree with you, Alan, that the last year has really not felt like school. Even though school has been going on, I know students have been in the class, the teachers have been working their tails off, trying to provide the most the best education for our kids possible, and they pulled it off in an incredible way. But coming into a building that is built to have students in it, and we would be in every once in a while and occasionally here, and with no students, it was just surreal. And now that we have students back, it really is that is the most joy, I think, is the best word that I've got, just having people around again, students and staff. And then going back to the challenge, I won't lie to you, trying to provide two different schedules together so that we have students in and students at home was a challenge, but I think we pulled it off. And with, as Allison said, the flexibility of the staff in order to make it so that the students are able to get what they need is absolutely necessary, beneficial, and commendable that they've really stepped up and made it happen.
I would agree with everything. I would also say that the adjustment from semester 1 and semester 2 and the change in schedules and how everyone has adapted to a new schedule, a new routine for synchronous and asynchronous learning has also been nice to see. A lot of hard work put in by our teachers. Students are adjusting nicely to that as well. Even all of our safety protocols that we have in place, everyone has been adjusting very quickly, following procedures, and doing everything to keep us safe within the building. It's been great.
Yeah, and I would agree. I want to piggyback a little bit on what both you guys said, is that the teamwork and the planning that it took was unprecedented.
Yep.
I've never been in my 32 years of education part of a total district team planning to bring kids back and to shift from remote to, and planning pays off. And what we found out was the challenge of planning, from scheduling on down to the safety and the teamwork was just incredible. So we met that challenge. Farmington Public Schools did, along with the community. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any surprises?
Yeah, I would say it's been surprising how quickly it started to feel normal in the building again. I think the first week was a little bit strange. Everybody's walking around with shields. They've got masks. We've got our sixth graders who've never been in the building before, so we're having to act like it's the first day of school and doing all those things we normally would do back in September. Twice, yeah, right. On a day and a B day, right? Yeah, we keep calling B days Groundhog Days here because it's like, we're doing this again. But it's been nice to see how quickly they've fallen into routine and sort of gotten over the weird shell shock of being around people and being in front of teachers. And it's been really nice. And I know the teachers are happy to a lot of them to be back doing what they love, which is being in front of kids. You know what I mean? And so that piece has been nice, and kids just being excited to be here. We're hearing from parents who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And even as we're doing, staying connected with our remote families, like they're coming in to pick up supplies and hearing how well they're doing. And that those relationships are being maintained, whether they're face-to-face or whether they're remote. I guess that piece isn't a surprise because we know how well our staff does with relationships. But it's just been surprising how in just under 2 weeks, it's starting to feel like, okay, we're in the routine, and, learning's continuing to happen no matter where kids are.
I think my biggest surprise, I'm going to be honest with you, I was very worried that kids were going to come back to school, especially middle school kids who are very social. And we know that school is their center, with their social life, with their, I was really worried that kids were going to come to school and all the differences, like having to social distance at lunch and having smaller class sizes and asking them to wear their mask. I was worried. Yeah, I was worried the kids were going to come to school and go, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And we were going to get a run of students saying, I want to go back. We didn't see that. Like Allison said, kids are happy. They're following the protocols. You see them just acting like normal middle school kids. There's really no difference. They're doing things a little different. And that was my biggest worry. And my biggest surprise was they're still kids. They're still middle school kids. So I'm very, very happy about that one. It was a happy surprise.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to 100% agree with you that the biggest surprise was how well the students have adapted to these new routines. I guess I shouldn't really be too surprised, because if you plan really well and students are able to follow along something that's clear, they'll do it. So they did. And they really have been spot on with coming in every day with their little half sheet of paper for the protocol, right? They've got it. They walk around with their shields. They do that. I've not had to address any students to put their mask back on. That isn't something that, because it's just part of what they do. And that's like Alan said, it's a nice surprise that they're just towing the line, man. They're doing what they need to do.
I did have 2 students try to take their shields home with them at the parent pickup line yesterday. And then they're like, oh, wait, sorry. But
I'm going to use this at dinner time tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Right. They're very cool. Who wouldn't want to have one of those?
Yeah, right. Other than that, though.
Right. Now, I mean, our students are very resilient. It was really good for me to be able to be in each of your buildings on the first day and to see students and, a little trepidation, wondering if, I was going to see shield fights in the hallway or things of that nature. And we didn't. The students did an awesome job. We just really have a great team, and that includes all the admin, all the teachers, all the paras, transportation, custodial, everyone worked together to make this happen.
100% agree.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about all these pivots, all these changes that we've had to make, these new processes and procedures. Is there anything that you think that you're going to keep or you'd like to see stay in place that we've had to institute since this? I don't really like the word pandemic learning, but I guess that's what it is. So anything you think we should hold on to?
No, we've talked about this a little bit just for our professional learning teams, and our teachers need to talk. And it's nice that they're able to bring together not just a building meeting, but a whole district meeting very easily. Yeah. This whole idea of, Google Meets and, meeting through Zoom or WebEx or Big Blue Button or whatever the platform happens to be, we would never have thought about coming together in a meeting before March 13th last year, right? We would have, all right, if we got to meet, and as the middle school administrators would want to meet, we'd have to hop in our cars and go over and meet somewhere. Now it's just, all right, I just sent you a meet, let's meet. Yeah. And it's so easy to do, and it's creating a much easier way for staff to collaborate with each other. Honestly, I don't see us going back to meeting in person as often as we did when this is a platform which is very easy to use.
Yeah,
definitely saves less money.
Yeah, and I would say, kind of going on that same online idea, I totally agree with everything Ken said. And then I noticed that we talk a lot as middle school administrators too. We're texting all day long, we're talking all day long, we're jumping into meets, and just I think one of the things that I've noticed a lot is the teachers being able to find new programs and new platforms to help engage students in different ways. Throughout this year, I know we've looked at things like Flocabulary, Ed Puzzle, Pear Deck, Gimkit, Jamboard, all these different things that they're using and finding a lot of success with in ways that keep kids engaged, but also to really formatively assess them and see how they're doing and progress monitor them. So I think, there's obviously there's limits to technology, right? In the face-to-face, we love that piece too, but finding a way to sort of integrate some of those platforms into next year, I think will be really helpful and be great for kids and staff.
Right.
I agree with both of what Mr. Sanders and Mrs. Robinson said. I also would say since the beginning of the pandemic, we've really focused more on the social emotional learning of our students, our staff, families. It's been a topic of conversation throughout this pandemic. It's been a conversation that keeps on continuing. Our social emotional check-ins that we do with kids, different things that we do. Our teachers have always done things to build relationships with kids, but it's even becoming more and more of a focus and at our forefront. And so I would definitely want to continue that work as we move forward.
One of the things that we're seeing is I think we're seeing the future. With some of the kids remoting into classrooms, I think we're going to see, not necessarily next year, but in maybe not 5 years down the road, but we're going to see a lot more in education all over the country where kids are going to be able to remote in the classrooms, whether they're sick, whether they're homebound. Instead of missing class time, they're going to be able to remote in. And the fact that we're conducting classes where kids are, instead of not being able to take the class, kids being able to remote into a classroom is a wonderful thing for students. And it's working. It's working very well. The kids are adjusting. The staff are adjusting. It was in the theater class this morning, and I watched the theater teacher. Kids were remoting in, and the kids on the screen were doing emotions, and the kids in the classroom were having to guess what emotion they were showing in their theater presentation. So it was a really, really cool thing to see that blend of remote roomies and zoomies is what they kind of call them in some places. I like to call them that. So it's really cool seeing that. And I see that's going to be the future of education, I think. as we move into a more technology-based way of teaching kids.
And what a really innovative way to look at working with the students when you're in that situation who are at home and in the classroom, to give them that opportunity to interact in that way. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
All right, last question. What have been your biggest highlights? What are the three biggest highlights for Return to Learn for you, for returning to face-to-face or this new model, second semester? What have been the three biggest highlights?
I can give one because I had it yesterday, which was honestly one of those things that I absolutely miss the most. So I'm doing my rounds in the morning, walking the school. Actually, it was right after lunch, and I'm walking around the school, and I'm hearing music coming from the choir room. And I stopped by, and sure enough, she's in there, and it's our encore choir, and they were warming up. And I stepped in, and they all kind of stopped and looked at me and said, "Oh, please, just keep singing." It's the best thing about having students in the building, is being able to experience their joy with what they're doing. And what's more joyous than singing? It was fantastic.
Yeah, what you don't know about Ken and I is we're old choir guys. We were both choir guys in high school, and so he loves. I know how much he loves his choir, almost as much as I do.
Love the music.
And there's a little competition between our choirs, Ken and I. We never talk about our band or orchestras, but we will talk about our choirs.
That's cute. Yeah, I think I gotta echo what Ken. I'm sure we all say the same thing. It's seeing kids. I mean, it's seeing kids. It's seeing staff. It's having the school feel like a school again. Like, that's just, there was so much missing, and I think Ken talked about that earlier. But it's just nice seeing people in the building. And one of my favorite things to do is to just talk with kids and just hear their stories. Middle school kids have great stories, and they want to share everything with you. And it's so fun to, hey, Mrs. Robinson, guess what happened last night? Or, let me show you my new backpack. It was a kid today that was really excited about, like just that kind of stuff, like getting back into their world, getting to see them, getting to joke around with them, getting to hear what's going on in their lives and see their excitement. There's really nothing that replaces that. And I know that's why we all got into this, this field in the first place, right? To work with kids. So that's been the best part.
Yeah, the power of connection really is something with students, and I'm getting to know students for the first time, but I've already gotten to know quite a few of them, being in the hall, talking about the lockers as they're getting ready to go to class and things like that. It's been incredible. And I would even say, and that connection, feeling supported, our staff, community members have reached out, families, just everybody supporting each other to make sure that this is successful for everyone involved. It's been great.
Yeah. And I would agree with all three of you, especially Eris, what you said about how the community has come together, the staff, just the support we're feeling and the love we're feeling from this community that we work for, that I've been in here for 18 years. Has been fantastic. That is the highlight for me.
Yep. Great point. Our parents, our families have really had our back through this whole thing. And they know what we're going through. They're living it with us, and they're partnering with us. So I completely agree. Yep. That's huge.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all, Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Sanders, Mrs. Stewart, and Mr. Archer for being here today for the District Spotlight. Maybe next time, since there are four of you, Mr. Sanders and Mr. Archer can arrange for a barbershop quartet. I'm in.
All right.
Second tenor. I sing first or second tenor. Got it.
So again, families, staff, everyone, thank you for listening in, and we will see you soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Nice seeing you.